Hi, and welcome to The City Show. I'm your host, John Zimkus. Today we're going sort of like part two of last time because we're talking about Arbor Day and the importance of trees and planting. And we have two guests, Mickey Marquis from the Shade Tree Commission.
Yes.
And our good friend, and soon to be my co-host if she's here anymore, Casey Burdick, the Natural Resource Coordinator and Recreational Coordinator for the City of Lebanon. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Casey, Arbor Day hasn't happened yet. We are recording this on Earth Day, which is somewhat related, but Arbor Day is this coming Friday. What kind of special things do we have going on there?
So we're really excited this year. So we always do a program at one of the schools, elementary schools, recognizing Arbor Day and do a tree planting at one of the schools and try to celebrate that way. But this year we're doing a little extra. So up at Miller Ecological Park on Friday the 26th, everyone's welcome at 5:30. We're going to do a ceremonial tree planting with one of the 75th anniversary of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources trees. So they are planting a tree in all 88 counties, and Miller Park was selected to receive Warren County's trees. So we're very excited about that. And then following up after that, I'm going to lead a tree ID hike for anybody who's interested in learning a little more about what we have at the park.
What kind of tree is going to be planted?
We're planting a swamp white oak. So if you haven't seen one of those, they're a great tree. I'm very biased toward them.
Well, it's got a fascinating name. I don't think I'm familiar with it, but a swamp white oak.
Yep. So it's in the white oak family, as the name says. It grows in a lot of different soil types, so it tolerates some wet soils or more compacted soils. And what's really neat about it is if you look at the leaves, one side is bright green and the other side is almost white. And it has a very fuzzy, almost velvet-like back on the leaf. So it's kind of unique, but the best thing about it is it grows almost everywhere.
Now, Miller Park does have some wetlands. Does it have to be planted anywhere near the wetlands?
It doesn't have to be, but it does quite well in those situations, which a lot of people generally struggle to have a tree that actually does well in wet soils. So that's a really good choice.
Now, Mickey, as part of the Shade Tree Commission, what is the function of your group?
We have monthly meetings and we just talk about the trees in Lebanon. We keep an inventory of them. We keep track of which trees are dead or dying and might need to be replaced.
Now, are these public park trees or?
Public right-of-way and park trees.
Okay, so we're not
space.
talking about somebody's trees in their backyard or something?
No.
Yeah. But any idea of how many trees you actually have to look at?
We do know.
Yeah.
Casey knows.
So in our public right-of-way, between the sidewalk and the road, we have 3,600 trees.
3,600.
We keep inventories of them and the condition. There's four stages from the healthiest to the least healthy so that we can plan when we need to remove trees. And for I don't know how many years straight, we've removed more than we have planted. And this year, for the first year, we've planted more than we've removed. So we're proud of that.
Now, I live in a subdivision which the previous owner of our house, I think he planted the trees near the curb. Can owners of properties do that?
They can.
They can. We ask that you contact the city to make sure there's no utilities in that area. We also have guidelines to keep the trees a certain distance from fire hydrants, from intersections, from driveways, so that people can see to pull out and make sure it's a safe tree. Plus, if your tree lawn, we call that a tree lawn, between the sidewalk and the road, we don't want to plant necessarily maybe one of the swamp white oaks in a 4-foot tree lawn because that tree has the capability of getting 4+ feet wide. So it's going to be too big a tree for that site. So we want to make sure we're planting the right tree at the right site so that we don't have sidewalk issues or conflicts with power lines or things like that too.
Now, we are recognized as a Tree City USA member. What does that mean?
To be a Tree City USA, you have to have a tree commission, which we do. You have to have a tree ordinance. You have to spend $2 per capita
And have a proclamation.
and have a proclamation.
And celebrate Arbor Day.
Which our mayor will read a proclamation tomorrow night at the council meeting.
What does the tree ordinance have to say?
Just proclaims us a Tree City USA.
Oh, okay, I understand. Oh, I understand.
And then it
Yes.
outlines a few of the guidelines that, like I mentioned, where we can plant trees and where we shouldn't plant trees.
Now, and reading over some material on Tree City USA, they bring out some fantastic facts as to why you should plant trees, being Arbor Day next week, at the end of the week. I mean, it shuts out noise. One of the facts it said it can shut off 40% of the
Right.
traffic noise.
Right.
It can cool your house from 7 to 9 degrees.
Increases property value.
Yes, yes. Well, I remember years ago when my wife and I were looking for a house, I met a gentleman and he used the phrase a prairie palace, and I had never heard that before. And it refers to a beautiful house out in the middle of the field and there's not a single tree around. And that never appealed to me at all.
That sounds sad.
Yeah, I always wanted, I want trees. And I also wanted trees which I can enjoy and not the person who buys my house years later.
We do a lot on the tree commission. Casey does so much for us, but we teach people in the electric bill insert how to plant trees correctly. Some people put them too high or they mulch too high. It's not good when you see the mulch piled up. That's hard on the tree.
Yeah.
So we try to have them planted correctly. And in Lebanon, a few years ago, we started using a different kind of a soil to nurture the trees better. So we will see our city trees live longer lives.
Now, speaking of city trees, it's been several years now, but if a new business comes to town, they have to do something particular about greenery and trees. What kind of restrictions or what kind of obligations do they have in that venture?
So any new builds or changes to the outside facade of a building does require that people follow our city ordinance or our city zoning code. And that has very specific guidelines on how many trees they have to plant, how many shrubs they have to plant, as well as if any trees are removed from the site, that the company then accommodates planting new trees either on that property or donating to the tree fund, so we can plant trees other places like Miller Ecological Park.
Yeah, well, and that place is growing. Every year it gets more and more like a specialized forest.
It's a
almost.
wonderful park.
Yes. Now, is there anything else we should know about tree requirements or tree care? Is there what if a tree limb goes over to someone else's property? Are there issues like that, or?
You should be responsible and remove it.
Yeah.
That's always a danger. But that's part of the planning when you choose your tree. You should choose a tree that's right for the space. And if it's going to go over your neighbors, you might want to consider a smaller tree.
I have seen in the past a pamphlet years ago about the trees of Lebanon. And there was a guided tour as to where you can find.
We redid that recently.
Oh, did
It
you?
should
Oh,
be
that's
at the
great.
city building.
Yep.
It's a
What kind of
wonderful.
unique trees do we have here in town?
We have a great selection of trees. So there's I think one of my favorites, I'll say, is there's a great big chinkapin oak, which is a oak that's kind of unique to Southwest Ohio. It's not threatened or endangered or anything. It's just a little unique to our soil type. And there's a huge one there behind the tennis courts at Harmon Park. So if you look in the back corner, there's a huge one there. There's a few other notable trees, the big beech trees on East Street. I think there's only one left, unfortunately. There's some great big pin oaks along Orchard Avenue. So people can kind of walk around, and when you start looking around, you'd be amazed how many, I call them cool big trees there are around town. But I do like trees, so I'm pretty biased.
Now, there's I remember from, it's probably high school botany or something, the ginkgo tree next to the Golden Lamb in Gazebo Park. It's, as I recall, one of the oldest trees as far as evolution goes. And then, of course, teaching for so many years at Berry Junior High School, those gigantic sycamores. And I've come across, you probably have seen it too, a picture from like 1912 of when that was the property of the Maple Farm Hotel. And those trees look about the same size. So I always used to tell my students and anybody I'm discussing this with, there's a very good chance those trees were here when Ichabod Corwin came in 1796 and had his first settlement there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are, the trees in front of Berry are also very, very special.
Yeah, they are. They are. Now, speaking of special, Casey, we've got some special guests coming up. Who are these special guests that we're going to be in our next segment?
So another way we celebrate Arbor Day in Lebanon is we have an annual poster contest for the 3rd through 6th graders across the city. And the Shade Tree Commission comes up with a theme every year. And we give it to the art teachers, and then the students do their art project, and the Shade Tree Commission then judges those, and we invite the students here to the city show as well as to be recognized at the city council meeting as well.
How many contestants did you have this year?
Hundreds.
Is that right?
And it's wonderful to see all of those and the expression that the kids have. They get so excited. And with the theme changing every year, we try to come up something that will be inspiring, and you just see things coming out of the kids, see their interest and their love for trees and what they think of them.
Yeah.
And we know we're bringing up a new generation of tree lovers.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, Mickey and Casey, thank you for being with us. I look forward to the next segment to see what kind of artwork the young people have come up with.
Yes.
And Casey, well, I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay. We'll be right back in a moment. Welcome back. We've got some very special guests with us today, and they are students from the Lebanon area, and they all have entered a contest about Arbor Day. And they've expressed their feelings about Arbor Day in their artwork. And we're going to go through them one by one now and ask what their name is, how old they are, what grade they are, and what school they go to. We'll begin with you.
I'm Juliana. I'm in 6th grade, and I go to St. Francis de Sales.
I'm going to talk to you about your drawing there, Juliana. Is that right? Very good. Now, it says the charming trees of Lebanon. Explain what you did there.
They're kind of like on their first date, and they just met. And the guy tree, he's like not being himself because he wants to impress her, and so he tries to get dressed up fancy so that he can impress her.
Well, I guess if you're on a date, you should be charming. Okay. Well, thank you, Juliana. And well, what's your name?
I'm Sammy. I'm in 5th grade, and I go to St. Francis de Sales.
Sammy, right? Now, Sammy, tell us, well, I take it from the name on both of them that the contest was Charming Trees of Lebanon. Now, Sammy, tell me what's going on in your painting.
I was going to do the fall, but I was doing the spring when it blooms because I think it's really pretty when the flowers start blooming.
Mm-hmm. That's a big tree. Got a lot of branches on it. Big kind of tree I'd like to have in my backyard. Now, in the back, I'll go to you. And what's your name?
My name is Noelle. I'm in 4th grade and I go to St. Francis de Sales.
Noelle, did you say? Noelle, could you sort of move toward the front so we can get a better look at your drawing? Now, that is a fascinating looking tree. Tell us about what you created there.
Well, my favorite season is fall and I love how the trees change colors. The leaves change colors on the trees. And I decided to add a few more colors than just yellow, orange, and red.
Now, what is the tree? Well, there seems to be a medal around the tree's neck or trunk.
It won the most charming contest.
Oh, most charming. And is that a trophy in its hand then, or it's a branch there?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Well, that's very charming. Now, Tommy, we've met, right? And the reason we've met is you and I are the only guys in the studio right now, outside of our good cameraman. Tommy, where do you go to school?
I go to St. Francis and I'm in 3rd grade.
3rd grade. And tell us about your creation there.
Well, as almost all the people here, I put Charming Trees of Lebanon and I tried to put a little sunset here. And I think it turned out pretty good.
Well, I agree with you, Tommy.
And I got the pink and purple idea from a drawing I did earlier in art class. So I kind of stole that idea from my art teacher.
Well, a lot of artists and writers do take what they've done before and make it into something better. So you're following the footsteps of a lot of creators. I do like the sunset. It sort of highlights the tree, and with all those brilliant colors behind it. Thank you, Tommy. And we'll go back to you. And what's your name?
Elise.
Eddie?
Elise.
Elise, excuse me. Elise, could you hold up your drawing and so we can get a good look at it? Elise, where do you go to school?
Donovan.
Donovan. Not from St. Francis? Okay, well, good. I'm glad Donovan is here. And what grade are you in, Elise?
4th.
4th. And tell us about your drawing, Elise.
So, when I was drawing it, I was reading a book where they were at this fancy mansion. So I thought charming could also be fancy.
And so what do we have there?
Um,
Are they all trees or is there something else with the trees?
They're all trees.
Okay, well, very unusual tree. The one on the far right where your left hand is looks like a white birch. Is that what that is? Okay. Now, what are the other 2 trees?
I didn't think of what they would be.
Does one of the trees have a top hat and a bow tie? Well, I guess he's trying to be charming then, right? Okay. And what's your name?
My name is Sophia and I'm 9 years old.
And where do you go to school, Sophia?
I go to school in Donovan.
And what grade are you in?
I'm in 3rd grade.
Now, yours is the largest of all their creations here. Tell us what you made there.
I made a lot of flowers and trees and a lot of clouds, and it says Charming Trees of Lebanon, and then it has I got this idea from here, Lebanon, that it's really, they have a lot of green stuff, a lot of trees, and there are a lot of different trees on the poster.
Well, it seems to be a very happy drawing there, because even the clouds are smiling because of all the trees and flowers there. So you've got a pretty forest. Could you turn it just slightly so, I didn't even see that one tree over there. Okay, so you have several different kinds of trees, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Sophia. Now, and what's your name in the back?
My name is Lexi and I go to St. Francis de Sales and I'm in 4th grade.
And what kind of drawing do you have there?
Well, I have a tree, but it is a very colorful tree because he wants to be charming in the most colorful way possible.
Could you bring it up forward? You know that tree almost looks like it's a bouquet of flowers. And I see it's carrying a trophy also and a medallion. Now, do you know what places you got in the contest? Or
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, well, we should go back and forth. And how did you do in the contest?
I got first place.
Fantastic. Now, is that for your grade?
Yes.
Okay, and that was what, fourth grade? Fifth grade?
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade, I apologize. Sixth grade. And what place did you get?
I got first place.
All right. So 2 first places in a row. And what did you get?
First place.
I see a trend setting here. Tommy, what did you get?
First.
Wow. And what did you get?
First.
First. And what did you get?
First.
I'm going to take a wild guess. And I bet you got first too. Fantastic. Only the best here. Only the best. Well, they're all so good and they're all so expressive and they all explain so well what we're trying to do here. Now, I told you before we went on the air that I'm a former teacher. And I'm going to read something to you that was once said by a person from Lebanon. And I want you to tell me what he is saying. It was said that a famous Greek philosopher, that a man who plants one tree for the future does not have a useless life. But I think every man should plant not only one tree, but many trees in his lifetimes. The farms in this county are already too bare of forest trees. In 50 years more, if the process of cutting down our forest is continued, our country will be empty, not only of large forests, which not only add so much to the beauty and health and the charm, I'll throw that in, of the country, but even trees themselves. What's this person trying to say? Yes.
Trees create a healthy environment.
They do? What else?
That without trees, our earth wouldn't look that nice, and it would also be harder to live.
Yeah, well, the beauty of it all, yes.
Without trees, then the world wouldn't look very colorful.
Yes.
Without the trees, the animals the birds that lives on trees, they can't live anymore on trees because they're gonna be cutting all the trees.
We wouldn't have the happy scene you've drawn there, would we? No. You want to add to that, yes?
Without trees, we wouldn't have air to breathe.
Well, that's a good point. Now, here's the question. First off, do you guys know what a newspaper is?
Yes.
Good. Because this once appeared in a newspaper in Lebanon. I want you to guess when. Yes.
1954.
Older than that.
1936.
Older than that.
1898.
Older than that.
1827.
Not that old. Tommy, this here for you.
1864.
Oh, so close, Tommy. I'm going to give it to you, Tommy. 1867. 1867. 157 years ago, a man named Anthony Howard Dunleavy, the son of Francis Dunleavy, who your folks may know and viewers may know was the first teacher in the entire Miami Valley. His son, a very prominent lawyer, was writing in the newspaper how important trees are. And you're continuing that legacy by making these beautiful pieces of art discussing the charm, the beauty, and necessity for having trees. Well, congratulations on all being winners. And I'm glad you're here and much success in the rest of the year and next year. Well, take care and I will see you around town.